Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we are having a great and wonderful day. And it seems that Joe Biden is doing it again. He is creating a treasonal act by letting 320,000 unvetted migrants into the U.S. That's right. He is threatening your lives, your family's lives, and everything else because he wants those votes. He wants that manpower. And we're going to be going over it here today on what's going on because it's quite astonishing on what he's doing to this country and how much the Democrats, or rather him, wants to destroy it so very badly. We have this here from the Daily Mail. Elon Musk says the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11. After Biden administration admitted flying 220,000 unvetted migrants into the U.S. has national security vulnerabilities. Elon Musk has bashed the Biden administration after they admitted to flying 320,000 unvetted migrants into the U.S. Musk took to his platform X early Tuesday and said the president's administration is importing voters and creating a national security threat for secretly allowing illegal immigrants in the country. It is highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11. Just a matter of time, Musk said as he reposted a story from dailymail.com. So, yeah, this is something that he is doing here, and it's asinine. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read through the full actual report here, because there's no meaning to. I am going to go to Colin Rugg here, that explains more of what's going on in the actual video in itself. Joe Biden has secretly flown 320,000 illegal immigrants from Latin America airports at 243 U.S. cities. Treason. It gets even worse. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection is refusing to identify which airports they are being shipped to. So, say for instance, they could be shipped to your very small town or your very small city or what have you, and you wouldn't even know, and crime and all that other stuff could be rampant in that area because for untold reasons, because our own Border Patrol, our own U.S. Customs and Protection is not protecting the Americans. They're allowing them to be invaded by insane people that could possibly very want to harm our country. The program at the center of the FOIA litigation is perhaps the most enigmatic and least known of the Biden administration's uses of the CBP One cell phone scheduling app, even though it is responsible for almost invisibly importing by 320,000 aliens with no legal right to enter the United States since it got underway into late 2022, said journalist Todd Bensman. Under these legally dubious parole programs, aliens who could not legally enter the country as a CBP One app to apply for travel authorization and temporary humanitarian release from those airports, the parole program allows for 2-year periods of legal status during which adults are eligible for work authorization. Insane. And an insane indeed, and that is treason. Now, again, there are some of you guys who are going to wonder what I'm talking about here. And I'll be going over that very briefly, but right now I will show you the actual video of of what he's talking about here, and we'll go over a few of these people, what they're talking about. There's something to actually speak about here. Now, we have this from Western Lensman says it's impossible to state how unsuccessful the regime open borders agenda has been in a very short amount of time. They have aggressively pursued all means available to transform the American electorate. On your dime, of course. And then Colin Rugg says, more illegals in 3 years than the population of 36 individual states. Let that sink in for a second, guys. In 3 years, we have had more illegals come into our country than 36 of our individual states. That is more than half of our country with a population filled with illegals. That's insane. And for people who are saying, oh, this is not treason, it's not a problem, I don't know what you're talking about, January reports, this is a lie. Well, let me introduce to you the actual definition of treason here. And let me show you on what I'm talking about with this treason. It says, treason, the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of one's country or of assisting in its enemies in war. Specifically, the act of leveling war against the United States or adhering to or giving aid and comfort to its enemies by one who owes it allegiance, treasonous. And let me put this into perspective here, all right? Let me tell you this. So, say for instance you have 320,000 illegal immigrants, which Colin Rugg has said, right? And then they're unvetted. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they're criminals or whatever. And a part of these 200,000, just say like maybe 500 of the 200,000 illegal immigrants are either China or Russia or North Korean, which I doubt that would be the case because that man doesn't let any of them leave that country. But for instance, North Korean or what have you, spies of North Korea, which they probably would allow. China would love to destroy America. Or, let's put it in this perspective of not just China, but Saudi Arabia or Iran. These people would love to destroy America. They would, and these people are unvetted. We don't know if they're actually here or they're not. But say if it's just 500, that can be catastrophic. If there's any number that is obviously lower, it's less catastrophic, but anything that's higher is just insanity. So if you're inviting enemies that you don't know, that are unvetted, you don't know if they're criminals or not, and they hate America, this fits the definition of actual treason. Because that means you're assisting enemies in war, which we're not at war with necessarily China, but we're not on good standings with them. And if we invite any of these people that we're not good on standings with, specifically Russia or China, because especially Russia, because we're kind of at war with them right now, we're inviting enemies at war into our country, and they could want to do harm to us. It's insanity to me that people just cannot understand this at all. So, yes, he is committing treason. Yes, he is doing something that is absolutely horrible and could have detrimental problems to our country. Now, Elon Musk says treason indeed, ushering in vast numbers of illegals is why Secretary Mayorkas was impeached by the House. They are importing voters. This is why groups on the far left fight so hard to stop voter ID requirements, under the absurd guise of protecting the rights to vote. Now, let me go and start talking about this guy. Merrick Garland blasts voter ID requirements as discriminatory and unnecessary. Now, he goes on to say that U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland blasted legislation requiring voters to have valid form of identification as discriminatory, burdensome, and unnecessary Sunday. His comments came as part of an address at the Tabernacle Baptist Church in Selma, Alabama. It says, the day in 1965 when Alabama law enforcement attacked civil rights activists demonstrating on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But as you well know, court decisions in recent years have drastically weakened the provisions of the Voting Rights Act that marches on the Edmund Pettus Bridge bled for 59 years ago, Gardner said. This is why we are challenging efforts by states and jurisdictions to implement discriminatory, burdensome, and unnecessary restrictions on access to ballot, including those related to mail-in voting, the use of drop boxes, and voter ID requirements. This is what's going on here. Why would they say voter ID requirements are bad? Let this sink in. Because if you have voter ID requirements, it means it shows that you're an actual American and you're representing the American people. If you're not representing the American people, why would you need a voter ID? There's no reason to have a voter ID if you're there's no reason to have a voter ID if you just want anybody and everybody to vote and not represent the actual country that wants it. Because people that are from other countries have different views than the people that are in that certain country. So, why have a voter ID? We want voter ID so it represents every single American on who we actually want. When we get people who vote in other people that doesn't represent America as a whole, as a country, that is a massive problem. They're doing this for power and to get votes. It's obvious, people. And then we have this here from Elon Musk saying the administration is both importing voters and creating a national security threat from unvetted illegal immigrants. It is highly probable that the groundwork is being laid for something far worse than 9/11. just a matter of time. Agree. And then we have I mean, therefore I am is going on to say he was flying eagles not only from the border deeper into the country, but from other countries into the U.S. Look at the dates. And yeah, it says Biden secretly flying underage migrants into New York in the dead of night, October 19th, 2021. I covered this. And then we have Biden administration resumes after dark migrant flights to airport outside New York City, April 16th, 2022. We have this new records. Biden DHS has approved hundreds of thousands of migrants for secretive foreign flights directly to the U.S. ports, September 21st, 2023. And then Biden secretly has let 221,000 migrants fly into the U.S. in the past year, September 21st, 2023. So, as you can see, each year they fly in people, at least fly in people into the country. That's insane. That's insane, right? That they actually fly in people each and single year. That's insane. And of course, I've gone on to say this. So Biden is against the American people by flying illegal immigrants into our country, which across our country, people are fed up with the illegals being here. This is a treasonous act in itself, making us vulnerable to anybody who wants to harm Americans and our country. Exactly. Because we don't know who they are. And then we have this from the Cloward-Piven strategy. The Cloward-Piven strategy is a political strategy outlined in the 1966 by American socialists or sociologists and political activists Richard Cloward and Francis Fox Piven for the creation of a guaranteed annual income by triggering a crisis in the existing welfare system. Cloward and Piven's article is focused on forcing the Democratic Party, in which in 1966 controlled the presidency in both houses of the United States Congress, to take federal action to help the poor. They stated that full enrollment of these eligible for welfare would produce bureaucratic disruption in welfare agencies and the fiscal disruption in local and state governments that would deepen existing divisions among elements in the big city Democratic coalition, the remaining white middle class, the working class ethnic groups, and growing minority poor. To avoid further weakening of that historic coalition, a national Democratic administration would be constrained to advance a federal solution to poverty that would override welfare failures, local class and racial conflicts, and local revenue dilemmas. And we all know if you have, people that are coming from having illegals disrupt the flow of our economy and all that stuff, that's what they're doing. So they're doing this type of strategy, and obviously it's from Democrats. So we have all the evidence here showing us what they're truly doing. And this is the insanity of it all. We have to stop and do something about it, because this is insane. Biden needs to be removed from office. This travesty needs to end, because the fact of the matter is he's destroying our country and he's creating treasonous acts. And a lot of people are not going to believe that because they're naive and stupid. But again, I'm here to try to stop the naivete and to be able to show what's really going on in our country. Because if you're saying that 320,000 unvetted illegal migrants is a good thing, then you would be completely fine with somebody random coming into your house without you knowing who they are. So, be as it may, you'll make a decision. But this is not good for our country, and I don't know what to tell you folks. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.